Oh guys, it's your Chook Man here once again, just recuperating from yesterday, having another transfusion. Alright, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. One of my followers asked me, what made you give up alcohol? Okay, that's a good question, and I'm going to try to answer it as honest as I can. When I was young, as you all know, I come from abuse, from a foster family. I honestly didn't give a shit about my life. I couldn't care if a truck ran over me when I was young. That's why I drank. And I drank and drank and drank until it came out of my ears. I drank that much, I made a nuisance out of myself and I made myself into a dickhead. Not too many people liked me when I was young. I was drunk, I was talking shit, I was being a dickhead, I was making a nuisance of myself. Now, I'm going to tell you about alcohol. I don't agree with alcohol, but alcohol is a part of our life whether we believe it or not. When we grow up, we experiment. We experiment on alcohol. Some of us experiment on drugs and cigarettes and popping pills. Now, I'm not, each to their own, and we've got to all learn by our own mistakes. Now, I'm not glorifying alcohol or drugs or smoking or doing whatever you want to do, but some of us, when we grow up like myself, we experiment when we're in pain. What I mean by his pain is I carry a lot of sadness in my heart. That's why the Chook Man drank from the age of 13 right up till he was 40. And when you're drunk, you're intoxicated, you can't, there's no way you can think straight. You know, I lost count on how many times I got locked up for drunken disorderly. You know, I used to blame the coppers, think, what are you picking on me for? But no, it's not like that at all. I'm the one that's was causing to get locked up for drunken disorderly and taking all my anger and my pain out on society. Well, I got health issues after drinking for many, many years. I'm talking from age 13 right up until 40. I've got pancreatitis, I've got a bowel disease, and I've got a whole heap of ongoing health issues through drinking. So that's one reason I gave up drinking. And the other reason is because I got sick of being a dickhead. No one's going to put up with someone that's been drunk all the time. You know, you don't fit into society because you're drunk. You know, could you imagine you go like me, if a drunk person come up to me now and started waffling on bullshit, you'd think, go away, mate, you smell like a brewery, mate. You know? It's only till I hit 40 that I'm a slow learner and I don't care what people say about the Chook Man. I had to learn this myself. Alcohol is not the correct way of dealing with sadness and pain. Yeah, it blocks the pain and sadness, but you wake up the next morning and it's still there. That's why you start drinking and drinking and drinking. And then you go out in the world and then you make a nuisance of yourself. It's not good. You know, I've been bashed and I'm not proud of it. I've been bashed that many times for being drunk and being at the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, somewhere along your life you've got to click like that and smarten up your act and better yourself. That's what the Chook Man done. That's why you see the Chook Man with all his toys. Because if I hadn't given up the alcohol, the Chook Man wouldn't have all these toys. And I'm so proud of myself. I haven't got tickets on myself, but I'm holding my head up high and proud because I've bettered myself. And a lot of people have said, geez, 13 years sober, good on you, brother. And it's not easy. You know, you see people drinking and smoking and you think, they're having a fine time, why can't I? But when you get older like the Chook Man, I got to 40 and I've done my fair share of drinking and being a dickhead. I'll put my hand up. I was a dickhead. I was a nuisance. I can't be any honest than what I am today. And now I can see clearly, I can hear clearly, and I can take life serious. That's why I gave up alcohol, because a part of and a lot of people, and it's sad, a lot of people don't get to clean up their life because they don't want to. Oh, I can't do that. You can't or you won't. There's two different things here. I had my head in the sand, don't worry about that. People say, hey, you're drunk again and again and again and again and again and again, and it goes on and on and on. Then you start hanging around people that are drunk, and then you start doing stupid things. Somewhere along your life, you have to have a reality check, and you have to say, right, I did that stuff when I was young. Now I'm an adult. I'm going to do adult things. That's why I do my collecting. That's why I collect all my collectible antique toys. That's why I collect my Harleys. That's why I collect my cars. Because it puts a smile on the dial. And it makes me happy. Anything that makes me happy. I go into the Austin Hospital, I get my transfusions done. Beautiful nurse. Big shout out to the nurses in the Austin Hospital. Thumbs up from the Chook Man. Thanks for helping me. Otherwise I'd die. Anyway, I quickly gonna tell you about this story. Yesterday I was a bit down on my luck. I went in to get my transfusion, and a beautiful nurse, she sat down and she actually spoke to me. And she says, what's your story? And I told her, I said, I was a chronic alcoholic for many years. I was a ward of the state, and I went on and told her my story. And she said, you know what? You can hold your head up because you did the hard work. You don't drink anymore. 13 years. Good on ya. Do you know what I mean? And she told me a sad story. She's got family members that are alcohol. She didn't go right into it. She goes, I wish my family members would take a leaf out of your book and do what you did. And I said to her, look, they will in their own time. But don't leave it to the last minute. Don't leave it till you got 1 foot in the grave or 1 foot out of the grave and then go, you know what? I'm going to clean my act up, because it doesn't work like that. Do it before this happens and enjoy your life. Alright guys, that's a Chook Man explaining how he gave up alcohol, and I hope you really understand it. And I don't want anything out of my story except to help other people that are struggling and to spur other people on so they can clean up their act and get on with their life and be happy. Alright guys, as I always say, be kind to yourself and try to have a nice day. Life's what you make of it. You've got control of your life, no one else. Don't blame anyone else. Blame yourself and better yourself.